Hey there, Mr. Witherow here. All right, function notation. That's what we're going to get into with this video. The biggest thing that we have to understand with function notation is that it's written a couple different ways, but it all means the same thing. All right, what I mean by that is you're going to be able to see some things out there that look like that, right? With the f of x or g of x or h of x. Those are kind of the common ones that they like to throw at you. They have different variables in front of here. Now, if you noticed or listened to how I said this, we say that this is f of x is what it looks like or what it sounds like. What it basically just means is that these things are really fancy ways of writing y. That's it. So when we talk about function notation, what they're going to do is they're going to give us an equation, right? They're going to give us an equation, and instead of saying y equals something, they're going to say f of x equals something. All right, so let's take a look at that. So we are so used to saying, hey, y is equal to 3x plus 4. And they want you to find y when x is equal to 3. So you just take this value and you plug it in for x and you get y is equal to 3 times 3 plus 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13, right? And we would be done. We found y. Well, with function notation, it's done exactly the same thing, or same way, except for the fact that what they're going to say instead of saying y is that they're going to tell us f of x. So instead of saying y here, they're going to tell us that f of 3 is equal to 3x plus 4. So it's the same thing. Sure, they still want us to find this. They're just now telling us, instead of writing it like this, they're going to tell us that this 3 needs to be substituted in here. So we just put it in there. 3 times 3 plus 4, which is 9 plus 4, which is 13. So f of 3 is 13. That's function notation. You're simply taking the value of the x, or inside the parentheses, and substituting it into for all of the x's and then doing the operations. It doesn't matter if there's more than one x. If they say that f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3, and they want you to find f of 4, well, then we simply just go ahead and substitute 4 in here and 4 in there. So we would say 4 squared plus 2 times 4 minus 3. So then we would do the math. 4 squared is 16. 2 times 4 is 8 minus the 3. Well, 16 plus 8 is 24. 24 minus 3 is 21. And then that's our answer. So f of 4 is 21. That's what we would do. All right? So the whole thing is that we have to make sure that we understand in the form of whatever. This is fancy for y. And I don't know why mathematicians like to do that, but that's basically what we're going to do, is just make sure that we have that. Now, how else can they ask us this type of stuff? Well, they can ask us by taking a look at like a chart. So if I gave you a chart, right, and it said x and f of x, and I had -1, 6, 0, 8, and 1, 10. And they just want you to simply say, hey, what is f of 0? Okay, so f of 0. So what is the function at 0? Well, here's 0. So the function at 0 is this number right here. And you just simply write down 8 and you're done. And it doesn't matter if it's a vertical table, we can do it horizontally here if we have x and f of x here. And again, I can use these same numbers here, -1, 0, and 1, 6, 8, and 10. And they want us to find what f of 1 is. So that's this right here. F of 1 is this number right here, 10. And we would be done. So they can give it to you in equation form, or they can give it to you in table form, and heck, they can give it to you in a graph form, right? So let's just say that we had the graph of something that looks like this, right? Whatever this is. And they want to know, and let's just put a couple bullet points here, right? So let's say right here, they want to know what f of -2 is. Well, what is the y value of this point? The y value is 0. So we would simply just write in 0 and we would be done. What is f of 0? Well, f of 0 is this point right here, right? Because that's x. Remember, that's x. This is x, this is y. So what is, they're asking you, what is the function at this point of 0? Well, that's -2. So we would be done. Don't make this harder than what it is. This number inside here is the x. They're going to ask us to find what the y is. What is the what's its companion? All right? So whatever we do is we have to remember that f of x, g of x, h of x is just fancy for y. We're going to substitute it in. Now, the other way around it is that what happens if they tell us that, let's say f of x is equal to 3x plus 4. And then they tell us, hey, f of x is, I don't know, 13. And they want you to find the x. So they want you to find what value do we plug in here to get this. Now look, this says f of x is 13. So this thing right here is 13. So now we're going to plug this in over here. So we're going to get rid of this f of x and we're going to replace it with 13. So we're going to say 13 is equal to 3x plus 4. Well, now we got to solve for x. So that's what they want us to do, is find x. So you do this whole subtract 4. We get 9 is equal to 3x. We divide by 3, and we get x equals 3. And we're done. So notice the difference. Now, I use the same thing here. Look at the difference here. Nope, I can't. So this time, they want us to find the y, or find f of x, right? They wanted us to find f of x when x is 3. This over here, they wanted us to find x when the whole thing is 13. So notice the difference. And this is how they're going to ask. This is the only way they can really ask us to do things in the function notation, is either they're going to ask us to find the value of the function when given x, or they're going to give us the function, the value of the function, and ask us to find x. Two different ways to look at things. All right. Now, the other thing that they could possibly do is to have us look at how we can combine, add, subtract, multiply, and divide a couple of functions. So if they give us that f of x is 3 plus x, and they give us that g of x is, let's say, 4x. All right. Now what the whole thing is they're going to say, all right, smarty pantses, find out what f of -6 is plus g of -1. All right, we can do that. Remember that this is the value of x for the function that's f. So we're going to take this and plug it in. So this becomes 3 plus -6, which is -3. Bring down your plus sign. This is g of x. X is -1, so we're going to plug that in over here. So what's 4 times -1? 4 times -1 is -4. So what's negative 3 plus negative 4? Negative 7. That's our answer. So f of negative 6 plus g of negative 1 is negative 7 because we substituted the negative 6 in for this x, and we substituted the negative 1 in for this x, and we did what it said. It doesn't matter how they give it to us. They can give us all kinds of different, they give it f of x, g of x, h of x, however they want to do it. All right? So remember, with function notation, it is just a substitution. You're either going to sub the number that's inside the parentheses in for x, or if they tell you that the f of x is a certain number, then you're going to sub it in over here and solve for x. All right? Cool. Keep having fun.